Let me take the first opportunity, the opportunity here at the studio, to still send my sympathies and condolences to the family of the late Agwambo, Raila Odinga, Baba, and now C.G.H. That's a very important addition to the honor. And to thank the president and the government for actually according him the highest honor you can give Raila, including actually the state funeral, which was very interesting because it goes without saying that once you've given someone a state funeral like that, which is basically the level of the president's, then the award on the C.G.H. is almost a given. It follows then. So, and I want to thank Kenyans for turning out and expressing themselves and mourning our beloved former Prime Minister, who to me was a friend and a mentor and advisor. He was my boss. I remember when I was minister, he was directly my boss. But you know, interesting that I first of all knew his father, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, when I went to Parliament as a young, very young man in 1988. And interesting story, because one of the things that got me in trouble with the government of the day was that when in 1988 Jaramogi was a persona non grata, literally. Nobody was allowed to be seen with him, talk to him. And then my naivety when I came into to Parliament, the first thing I did when I saw him at the state opening of Parliament, and he was isolated. He was sitting alone. Nobody could reach where he was. And I've always wanted to meet this old man. I said, this is my chance to meet him, not knowing that I was getting myself in trouble, political trouble. So I walked in and sitting over there, I went to say hello to him. And when he knew I was a young man from West Pokot, he engaged me longer than I needed to get engaged. And by that time, the cameraman had come in, and a photograph had been taken of me and him, and that really became a serious photo. Now, I get to know Raila later. When now, of course, when he came to Parliament as a member for Langata. But before that, followed a lot of what he had done, including getting into trouble, being detained, having been in prison. So I followed this young, very politically active man. And so when he came, we quickly were able to, that's the time, by the way, when he came in, especially in 97, now when he came in 97, that's when I'd come back as MP for Kacheliba. And I would serve in Kanu, 1997. By the end of that term, I had become an assistant minister for education, science, and technology. And around that time is when, about that time when he had joined Kanu. 2002. And he had joined Kanu, not joined Kanu, actually the merger. If you remember that merger of NDP and Kanu, during that merger, which really caused problems for Kanu, Raila, I was the MC for that function in Kasarani. I was a co-MC actually with Job Omino. And it was very intense. And as he was coming in to become the Secretary General, how to propose him to become the Secretary General. I think it was William Ruto who proposed him actually. And who proposed him? Was it William? Somebody, I think so. But no, it wasn't William Ruto, because William Ruto proposed to Uhuru Kenyatta as vice chairman. So we were replacing people who had been there for years, and new people were coming in. It was very tense for Kanu. I mean, You couldn't imagine the Kanu without the old Secretary General, without the former vice chairs, including the late George Saitoti, who lost his vice chairmanship that time in Rift Valley. So yeah, so I mean, it was a good thing. If you look at the old videos of the time when that conference was going on, you'd see that I was shuttling between consulting the president and going to announce, because you had to consult the president that time. And I got in trouble for that as well, because the people who were replaced in Rift Valley, for example, they got very angry. They thought I was the one doing it. But I was consulting and coming back to dictate. We had already met and decided who was going to be the vice chairman for this area and so on. So it was a very interesting. Raila comes in and becomes Secretary General, and then 2002, the candidature problem starts. And when that team walked out, they walked out and left Kanu in a shell. And Kanu has never recovered from that moment. So Raila's, actually I was suspecting that something needed to be said about Kanu and Raila. Because I mean, this is how you come into a house, and when you walk out almost with everything. And
there are people who thought that probably that is what Raila Odinga was planning, that probably he got into a broad-based arrangement with William Ruto, probably with a plan to walk out. Do you think that there's some truth to that?
Let's assume that by his death, he has walked out. His powerful position, let me just say that his total commitment to the ODM party, for example, you can see that the president, William Ruto, since Raila passed on, has endeared himself more to ODM. In fact, when I came in, I heard you asking the question. You've not heard him speak about UDA in the last so many days. And I keep thinking, yeah, what is it that Raila has done? He probably also leave UDA in a situation, because it looks to me like the another merger is in the offing, or something like that is in the offing, so that it could leave one other party in a shell again. I think the intention of that Raila had, which I think is still lacking in this country, is establishing a political party with principles, with a manifesto, and that is not temporary, and that is meant to basically change a country. Okay. And he did that by making sure that ODM party would last 20 years in his time, under his leadership, would last 20 years. Right. Now, the people that, the more recent presidential candidates have very interesting philosophy, that they don't have that kind of philosophy. Because if they had that kind of philosophy, Kanu would still be a strong party, keeping a party for so long with its philosophy and so on. So they keep changing, rebranding a name, and also new party coming in. If you remember, when Uhuru Kenyatta came in, he abandoned whatever party he was, which was Kanu, and moved into a new arrangement so that he could be elected. And that arrangement would later be taken off, and another arrangement come in where William Ruto would run on, even Uhuru's second term, and then that goes. And then you have Ruto now come in, William Ruto come in with a new arrangement again, so that he can be elected temporarily. Raila stayed put, even when he moved himself to a coalition arrangement, his political party remained there. He never wanted ODM to disappear or merge, or to be basically to dissolve. So I think he had, when people say he loved this country, he wanted to see the change in this country, he meant it. If you want to do and maintain and keep a democratic space in the country, you must retain certain parties with principles. Certain parties that you know, when I enter there, I mean I'm in that space for something I believe, for beliefs. You will not know how many parties are in the United States. There are many. But the only two parties that you will know. You are either a Democrat or you're a Republican. Okay. In the UK, it's the same. The many other parties you never hear about, but the ones that you hear about have remained for years and years and years.
Okay. Yeah. Let me take you back to something you said, and it's and I've seen even the papers have drawn comparisons with